welcome to Awake Ones. I'm Alexandra Winman.
I'm Lorraine Flaherty.
And today we're talking to artist Sergio Pagani, who has been so kind as to join us on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about you, my lovely. Tell us about your art and...
So probably about 10 years ago, the whole spiritual process began. I read this beautiful book by David Hawkins, Power versus Force,
yeah.
and then that sort of woke me up, and I love the idea of this logarithm, that sort of where you have different vibrations and each one had a different emotion, and you could ascend and then descend, and that sort of woke me up. And then I read a whole bunch of different books, and I started to realize I knew quite a lot, but I experienced very little.
Right.
And so I said, okay, well, what do I need to feel all these great things in this book, this ecstasy, this joy, and all that stuff? And I discovered yoga. And I met this mystic, a guy called Sadhguru, and I took one of his courses in America. And during this weekend, it was as if I was split open and I was just crying for 2 days. And this clarity came out. And the clarity was, what do you really want to do with your life? And two things came to me really, really clearly. One is to sing and to make music.
Right.
And the other one is to make love. You know, these like, I mean, it's very, very obvious. Like very, you know, if you think about it, it's obvious. But that sort of came through all the crap. And then a friend of mine invited me to Romania to perform a song. I've never written a song before, I never sang before, I never played the guitar other than a couple of chords.
Not in this life.
Not in this life, maybe not. But 4 weeks later, I'm on this stage in front of 50 people and I'm singing a song called Goodbye.
Mm.
And this song Goodbye, it's all about letting go and dying. And yet I found that the most inspiring thing. And I remember at the end of that moment, I looked up and I didn't know where I was, who I was, what was happening, but something really like deep happened as a transaction between me and others. And it's that intimacy was incredible. It was incredible. I knew I wanted more of that. That was the first sort of big experience that I had, I think.
Wow.
Yes.
And tell us about your art. So what sort of art do you create?
So I love making poems. I love Rumi.
And after our own
There's
hearts.
no poetry at all.
Yes, yeah, me too. I love Dante. He's my favorite. Rumi and Dante. You know, the Divine Comedy is a foundation for life.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful and wise, and the metaphors are fantastic. And it's in Italy and Florence. I love Italy and Florence, and anything to do with Dante and the Divine Comedy, I love, absolutely love. So I make poems, I make music, I take photographs, I write stories. Yes, I mean, nothing more beautiful than looking through this lens, looking at life as if I've never seen it before, and just pointing out what moves me and what's beautiful, and then following through with my hand or my voice, basically.
That's amazing. That's an amazing philosophy to have, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we do just kind of do a lot on automatic pilot and just go through the motions of getting up and getting dressed and going to work, and living like that. But if you do wake up each morning and you have that fresh viewpoint and wake up with, somebody said it recently, I was reading, there's an amazing astrologer called Rob Brezhnev, and he has a website called Free Will Astrology, and he said to, you know, wake up every morning and put your feet on the floor and begin your day with benevolence, as though you're blessing everything for that day ahead. And it's
That's
such
right.
a great way to live your life, isn't
Beautiful.
it? We talk about it too, don't we?
Yeah.
That every footstep
It's
is
my
sacred.
first thought. I don't actually even wait till I get out of bed.
Yeah.
It's literally my first thought when I wake up is to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
What comes after that is usually gibberish, but but the very first thought is thank you for whatever is coming, for whatever has been. Just start the day with gratitude.
Are you guys, are you a fan of Rumi?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Rumi.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, very
Absolutely.
good.
The beloved.
The beloved.
The beloved.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. I actually had a Rumi piece at my wedding many years ago, which was
you
a beautiful piece. I don't remember which
it,
piece it was, but I just remember, and actually it was quite funny because it was in a Catholic church, but he was a bit of a renegade, this priest, and I didn't really want to have the typical, usual, not that I ever want to do anything normal. And so I took these pieces in and said, would you mind at all? I don't mind if I have to have some church pieces, but can I put some of my own? He went, oh, don't bother with the church stuff.
Really?
Don't bother.
And
I showed him, I did some Rumi and some Khalil Gibran as
very
well.
nice, yeah.
And he thought it was beautiful. He said,
Very
absolutely,
nice.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
what
yes,
was your
yeah.
favourite piece?
I think about 4 years ago there was this passage, and it struck me so much that it became like a mantra, and I put it up on the board and I looked at it for 2 years.
Yeah.
This one thing, and it's this silence, this moment, every moment, when it's genuinely inside us, brings us what we need. There is nothing we need to believe in.
Wow.
And that for me immerses me into silence, and I just become a blank canvas.
Right.
And in that, I know nothing, I have nothing, I am nothing. There's nothing to identify with. And in that I find my eternity. And from that place I'm able to love my fiancée with unconditional love and freedom, you know, because there's the we're going to experience the difficult, the lower vibrations, if the shame, guilt, anger, all these different things can come up, and then you're going to have the joy and the ecstasy and all the rest of it. But if there's a space through which all of that can come and go, and there's no purpose, there's no need to go up or need to go down, then that foundation is set for a relationship.
Absolutely.
You know, that's freedom, and only when I'm free can I offer really anything.
This is true.
Yeah. So that Rumi passage took me into what I call the emptiness, and then the music comes from that. The poem comes from that.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Can we share some of your poetry? And
Absolutely,
music when we
I
share
would
the
love
video?
that. I would love that very much. Thank you very much.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah.
to. Is there anything that you could maybe, not to put you on the spot, sing for us?
Right now. I have a short poem, extremely short one, which I can say.
Amazing.
And it's very short.
Is it more than 2 words?
It's 2 lines.
That will do it.
I am me, I am all I need to be. Everything I do is making love to you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
thank you.
Beautiful.
The
simple ones often have the...
Yeah, they do. And so obviously we've known each other for a while.
Yes.
And and we met at a meditation group many years ago. And so obviously I've kind of tracked your journey and how you've evolved and changed, but you kind of blew us away earlier with your incredibly romantic story of this great love that has now come up. So just because I think people need to know that there is still romance in the world, and that these things do still happen, and it isn't just in the movies.
Yes.
Talk to us
I
about...
would love to share the story.
Please share the story of your meeting
yes.
and and that the beautiful place and all of the...
Okay, so I decided to take this Rumi passage and apply it.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to go to Italy, I'm going to go to Florence, I'm going to have no plan. I'm going to have no agenda. And I was in an exhibition by Salvador Dali, and he drew a depiction of Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yes.
And it's the transition between purgatory and paradise.
Right.
And so I looked at this painting, I fell in love with it, and I took a picture of it, and I decided to paint it myself.
Okay.
And this picture is of this man with a giant cloak, but his heart wasn't this big red bubbly thing that looked like a strawberry. It was this empty space, like a hole in his heart.
Right.
And you could see right through it, and at the other end there's the Grim Reaper, death, right? So he's looking at death in the eye and moving beyond it. And basically it's about psychological death and moving right through. So as I was drawing this and painting this painting in a class, this beautiful woman next to me, and she's doing her thing, and I'm feeling this electricity. and it was making me a bit uncomfortable.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with it. And so I sort of avoided it, and I just carried on painting.
This is in Florence.
This is in Florence, and I'm in a painting class.
It couldn't be more romantic, could it?
And so I'm there, and she's on the right, and then after about 3 days, I said, would you like to go for a walk? You know, my heart's pounding, butterflies. And she's like, yes. And she's feeling like, it's as if her face is expressing what I'm feeling inside. Right. So we go for a walk, and like 5 hours later, we arrive back to where we started, and it just felt like a second had gone by. Right. And we walked all the way through Florence, the beautiful river, and there was a moment where we held hands, and the electricity was so insane. And we went to a couple of more dates, and then we ended up in an opera at a church, as you do, where we just popped by, and there was this live improv opera, and
I love Italy.
You know, and goosebumps. It was just incredible. And then the culmination of that was it was a full moon, and apparently Venus and Mars were meeting or something like this, and we went to this little hill called Fiesole. Yeah. And Fiesole overlooks all of Florence. It's so beautiful, an old Hellenic sort of town. And I didn't know, but we were walking together, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And suddenly the voice inside me, this was at sunset, said, reach over and kiss her. And I said, really? Okay. So I was having this conversation with this voice inside, you know, going, you know, and I was literally taking instructions, you know, Yeah. And as I did, my
trusting your higher self.
Yes, I suppose, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And my whole being was shaking. And then in that moment, I realized there was a spiritual, emotional, and physical connection. I wanted her, I felt this love, and I felt this unity that felt like we were meant to be together. We're home.
Big spark of light just went off over you.
Right. Oh, yeah. And yes, and everything else is just an articulation of that energy, you know. So 3.5 years later.
No, but don't leave us hanging. Oh. So you must have then kissed her.
Yes. So then we kissed.
Then what happened?
Yes.
You need to write this as a novel.
I know. I should write this as a novel. So
and she kissed you back. Obviously.
So she kissed me back, and then we kissed a few times. And then
don't need too much detail.
We don't need too much detail. And then, but, you know, it's interesting because at that point it was so exciting.
Yeah.
That I was aware that of this space that was holding it, and the content that was filling it in me. Do you know what I mean? The context that was holding it, and then the content which was the emotion, the sexual energy, the spiritual connection, all of it. And I said to my fiancée, what do you think about taking it slow and let's meet tomorrow?
And she's obviously not your fiancée at that point.
No,
this is just someone you've just met.
Yes, yeah. And I go, let's just take it slow. By the way, I'm just letting you know that this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I would like, and how are you feeling, and what do you like? And she was basically everything I was feeling, she was feeling. So we were just vocalizing what we were both feeling. And then that's what we did. Every time we would vocalize what we would like, and I was very aware of everything has to be an invitation.
Yeah.
And very transparent.
Very transparent, yes. But also transparent about the sexual energy, saying, by the way, I really want you.
Right.
I want to make love, you know, and that's there, but I'm not forcing it or manipulating. I'm just allowing that to be an energy, you know.
To unfold.
That's the power of setting intention, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
What? Intention? What was the intention?
Well, when you said to the universe, well, I want to, you know, I want to make love, and then there you go, off to Italy and make love.
Yes. To die to the beloved, in a way. To become consumed.
Yeah. And it wasn't a completely straightforward journey, though, was it?
Well, no. We after about 1.5 years, we broke up, and it's very, very interesting because something in me at the deepest level said we need some time apart.
Right.
And I don't know how else to describe it, but this feeling, which was very strong in me, I hated it. I didn't want to break up. I wanted her more than anything, but this feeling said, if you want a bridge to be built between two pillars, the pillars have to first be strong.
Yes.
And so I made the decision to break up and not do the typical break up, make up thing, but to actually just say, look, let's take a break. And it felt like someone was ripping my heart out. I was crying like a baby, like a whale, but I knew deep down it was the right thing to do. After 1.5 years and a half, something like that, she was coming to London. And she said, do you want to meet up? And so we met up. Let's catch up to this. A year and a half there. When she came over, I could feel that same energetic energy, and after about half an hour of sort of trembling, it sort of synchronized. And then I just said, look, I would love to keep seeing you, and I don't know where this is going to lead. And she said, I'd like to also continue seeing you. How about in Christmas? So we met in Christmas, and then we met again, and then we met again, and then boom, 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 boom. We got engaged in September.
Yes, but you need to tell everybody where you got engaged.
Oh, okay. So right, okay. So it's a lot to experience. So we met again in Florence, in Fiesole, on the same place that we kissed, overlooking the same view. And I knelt down on one knee, and I had a ring, and it was stunning. It was beautiful.
Did you recite poetry?
I don't think I recited poetry. I think I told her, what did I even say? I said, I would love to spend the rest of my life with you. Would you be my wife? Would you like to get married?
That is poetry.
Yeah,
Love.
okay.
That is
To the right person, that is
Yeah,
poetry,
yeah.
isn't it?
There we go.
Aww.
So just as when we salute you,
Can I just have to say,
Yes.
like, my husband proposed at Heathrow Airport. Outside Costa Coffee. After I got off the plane from Australia, and when you've been on a plane, you're not really, at your best. He's a great
Caught
guy.
you surprised.
He's a real romantic.
Oh,
No,
right.
I'm joking. Well, it's kind of romantic because it's the bridge
because he
between
couldn't
us.
wait, could he?
He couldn't wait.
Definitely
Well,
unexpected.
he couldn't wait. He waited long enough.
But definitely unexpected.
Definitely unexpected, and that was
Which
the
is
point.
great.
That was the point.
Mhm.
He's very quirky like that. He didn't want me to know at all that it was coming.
And he didn't want to wait
So it
anymore.
was very
because he
nice.
wanted it so much.
Yeah.
You'd been away
Right.
for a while, hadn't
Yeah.
you?
And luckily, he was actually delayed getting there, so he wasn't actually there when I came out. So I had to wait for him. And then he came running through the halls,
Uh-huh.
down on one knee, and then he said, "This is the poetry of Tony. Baby, will you do me the honour of changing your Facebook status?" Anyway, it's a very memorable story.
Very nice.
Our actual wedding
It's another
was way
way.
more
It's
romantic.
another way to go. It's another. It's another.
Our wedding was very romantic, and we got married in Ibiza. So we're
Oh,
He
this
did
one
it.
did the ceremony.
Oh,
So
that's
You
nice.
did do the so I'm available. We're both available
Yeah.
actually to do the ceremony.
Uh-huh.
You can do your legal bit, but we can do your
put him on the spot,
Oh,
Laurie.
What,
By the
what
way,
do you mean the ceremony?
it's out for
We
business.
do weddings.
Oh, you do weddings. Okay. All right. So you wear like the priestess gown type
Can
thing?
do. I've got
Oh,
a
wow.
moonstone.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Very
we
nice.
tailor it to the individual.
Oh wow. Very nice.
Yeah, I did her wedding, and then we've both done
Yeah.
various different weddings
Wow.
around the world.
Weddings, parties, bar mitzvahs, name blessings. Yeah,
Mhm.
we,
I mean, what would you say? I mean, is the sort of the key to a relationship these days? What piece of advice would you give to listeners, and what
Viewers.
viewers? And what sort of,
voyeurs. No, I'm joking. Well, maybe not.
what really works for you? You
Well,
know?
I wouldn't know yet because I've been single for quite a long time
Uh-huh.
because I've been doing a lot of work on me and writing. But I would say, having been married
Mhm.
once, that communication
Communication
and honesty
Yeah.
is the absolute key to everything, and being willing to work through and talk about what's going on in your world, as you've kind of done from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, I work with a lot of couples, and with people that are having difficulties in relationships. And the one thing that I will always say is that as long as both partners
Yeah.
are willing to do their share and to do the work, and they are committed, to actually
Committed
moving
to
forward,
yeah.
it doesn't matter how difficult it is. It doesn't matter how big the hurdles are. It doesn't matter how big the challenges are. If both people are in it together
Right.
and willing to do the work, they don't even have to do it at the same time.
Yeah.
But they're both willing to actually go along.
Mhm.
Then you have a relationship that's going to work.
I see.
So when one person says, "Oh no," they're not prepared to do it. Unfortunately, with my marriage, that's
Uh-huh.
kind of what happened. that my partner refused
to go there
to do any work, and so I tried
commitment
on my
and
own.
courage in a way.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work when you're not committed. Yeah, or when you're not prepared to admit that you have a part to play, or that you've got to work at it. So yeah, honesty and communication. You know, I watch my parents who've been together for nearly 55 years, and sometimes they bicker like crazy, and it used to drive me mad. It used to upset me that they bickered, until I realised that it was just the way they communicated, and they probably communicated more than anybody I ever, because they talk about everything. You know, they might almost disagree about everything, but in a way they're kind of agreeing. It's just the way they do it, but they're always talking, always. So that's, I think for me, that's the most important thing. Love, obviously, but that goes without saying.
Communication first. With my husband and I, it's humour is like the absolute key. Doesn't matter. We'd never go to bed on an argument. We would always, you know, make up before you go to sleep. We never leave an argument open. We always resolve it. We don't argue very much, but if we do, it's always resolved. And then I think also honouring your differences, because you know, I'm very much on a very open spiritual awakening goddess path. And Tony's very grounded Capricorn, who's, you know, but he in his own way is like a ascended master, but he's almost sort of there to kind of hold space for me, because it's like I feel like in previous lifetimes he's been through it before, so he's very grounded. He likes being at home. He's very set in his ways. He's like, you know, pipe and slippers, you know, a bit like that, but is completely supportive of me running off around the planet, usually with this one, and going on, you know, to the point where like he won some flight vouchers at work for his hard work. It was his bonus at work, and he's given me these Virgin flight vouchers so I can go to Bali with one of my best friends for her 40, you know, and go off around the world. So he's very honouring in that way, you know.
That's lovely.
Yeah, so humour, we can actually laugh till we cry on many occasions, and not taking things too seriously, you know, like also not pushing each other. I think that honouring of each other's difference. Sometimes there is a part of me that's like, I really want him to sort of open up and be more spiritual, like this.
Accepting them just the way they
are.
are.
As he is. And you know what, the more that I do that, and the more I drop into that acceptance, the more he kind of comes out of that shell and starts to take it. It's hilarious.
Isn't it interesting that the moment you say less and accept, then they sort of do their own way.
And now it's hilarious because he can't escape it. His boss at work is getting really interested in crystals and spirituality, and I mean they're a recruitment company. So she comes to work and asks Tony, what would Al say about this? And then she came to work the other day and was like, oh my gosh, I found Alex's YouTube channel. She interviewed Lars Moore. It's like hilarious. So he's like, you're everywhere. Now we've discovered that our neighbour on one side of the fence, who Tony's kind of had a bit of a mateship thing going over gardening and the pipes and things, he's really into like Dolores Cannon and started reading Lorraine's book, and then our other neighbour over the back fence, so he's surrounded by it. He's you know, so something's going on. I don't know, but yeah, I think that acceptance.
I think so.
That acceptance is probably very, very key. Transparency, acceptance, and humour.
Yeah, I resonate very much with that.
Yeah, gotta have fun, because relationships aren't easy, and you know. Weddings, especially when you're on this pathway, you'll probably find it is like the physical symbology of sacred union, right? So you come together in all of that union, and then once you have that union, it's almost like you can deepen into yourselves and into your relationship. And what we found after our wedding was hilarious. So the wedding, magical, everything went beautifully, everything was seamless. And then we went on our honeymoon probably about three months after the wedding, and we went around South America, and we were tested every step of the way, you know, like flight strike on Easter Island and stranded there for like 8 days, and then everything went wrong, and you know, even, you know, to the point where so much stress had happened, I guess, over the wedding. Very human, but a lot of stuff came up over that New Year's Eve. But it was wonderful because it was like, well, we'd sealed the deal, so neither of us were going anywhere. So it was almost like it was a deepening into the authenticity,
Yes.
right? No masks were needed at all
Absolutely.
anymore. So you could be your kind of raw
Yes.
self.